great Tautic, excess for less. I started back in 2020 during the pandemic, and someone pitched the idea of selling pallets. And had no idea what they were talking about. I thought they were talking about wooden pallets, and I had to do a lot of research to see, hey, what is this business? What's like, how's this work? Spent a lot of time like learning about pallet resellers and going to pallet resellers in North Carolina. Like I'm based in Virginia, so I would drive down to North Carolina and wait in line and sometimes wait overnight to get like in the very like front of the line and then like spent almost like 6 months putting together a business plan and then starting my own pallet business. That kind of flopped right off the bat. There was no one doing it in Virginia,
Yeah.
and and when no one's doing something in an area, it sounds great because there's no competition.
Yeah.
There's also no market, and so customers had to be like educated on what it means to buy a pallet and what type of condition products are in and all of it. And so I opened up a warehouse that had 8 truckloads. And in the first week, we sold 8 pallets, and that was not going to sustain a business.
Yeah.
Lots of customers would come in and say, "Hey, I want that vacuum cleaner, I want that air fryer," but they don't want the rest of the pallet.
Yeah.
So quickly, within like a month and a half, we opened probably about 60% of our pallets and transitioned into a discount store that also had pallets. So we could continue to educate customers, but then also sell a lot of our products. And that's where I started. And that kind of took off from there. It was about a year later where I've heard so much about bins and bin stores that we were like, all right, we got to try something. And we created like pallet collars around pallets and just had these little tiny bins. And we had like 18 bins to start. And that took off. It drove a lot of business to the retail store, and we looked at it as a marketing opportunity, just something to get people in the door and let them buy the pallets and the retail items at a higher markup, and that worked. The problem was is I was in a warehouse with no parking. Our parking spot technically had 6 spaces, and so we had people lying down the street of like a busy road. Like police had issues with it. There's all sorts of issues. We definitely weren't coded the right way in that spot or anything. And so then we went from there and said, hey, we want to do this bin thing. So we got our full retail location and open up a full bin store. And that's kind of, we still have that to this day and that's how I started.
Well, that's funny because a couple of things just are super humorous to me about your story because they're similar to ours. We started quite a bit earlier back in 2013 when Kmart was
Yep.
still like very
Yep.
big. We were buying Kmart pallets for $50, like by the truckload. So we started a little bit the opposite. We started selling on Facebook. We were buying pallets from freight auctions up in Atlanta back when prices were still reasonable. And we were in my parents' basement. It wasn't Facebook Marketplace, it was still Facebook groups. So we were on every individual group. We made our own, and then we transitioned to a small warehouse space where we had the opposite happen, where you had pallets, then they wanted to buy the individual items. We had individual items, they wanted to buy pallets. And I was
Wow.
like, "This is so much better than selling, like, a friggin' microwave one at a time. I can sell the whole thing." The education was still a big thing 'cause it was me, it's funny because we don't talk a whole lot, but, Chris Trailer about the same time, a lot of people know Chris, about an hour and a half away from us. He opened, like, 2 years later, I think, but, buyer education was a terrible thing. Like, we got blasted. I mean, for as much as you can get blasted on Facebook back then, like, I got a pallet and there was so much like, it was all, broken, and it was happening back then. I mean, it was brutal because 'cause I'm 17 at the time, right? So, like, 17, just turning 18, and I'm like, "You asked if you could buy this pallet, and I sold it to you for $300." I mean, we're talking Kmart, Back when, like, still I mean, these trucks would come in $50 a pallet, there'd still be tablets all over the place, like, um, to the point we would actually break all the pallets down. We did this for like 6 months, and we would rebuild them and restack them, make them pretty looking, which is so much work and not worth the effort, because then you got accused of cherry picking the product on top of that.
Of course.
Um But yeah, buyer education when there is nothing, like, there's no competition is a very difficult thing. Yeah. I remember that all too well. But so 2020, so you got in right COVID hit and you got so you hit like it's funny, I have a lot of people that we talk to that got in COVID and like they all got so we were in, way pre-COVID. COVID, I tell people is a shitty thing to say, but it was like one of the best things that happened in my business. Like just
Yeah,
skyrocketed. Like, I'm it's a terrible thing for a lot of people, but not for us. But a lot of guys got in and didn't really know anything besides, like, the COVID bump, and so, like, gets into the business, expands their business, all these operations and all this overhead only for, like we've all seen it. Like, it's definitely dipped, maybe plateaued a little bit, but nothing like 'cause COVID, you could sell I mean, it didn't matter what you had. People just wanted product. I mean, you got away with selling, like, stuff that I wouldn't even wanna offer now. Like, you just need product. I'm just finding whatever I can to sell to you. And
and
they're
everyone had a reselling job, right? Like people didn't have jobs; they were trying to resell anything they could back then.
yeah.
So I think that was part of it. Like I was working from home for Capital One, so I was able to run this on the side, and yeah, it just worked out. Right timing, right place.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely the right timing for sure. I mean, like you said, you hit the nail on the head. Everybody, no one has work and everybody needs money. So let's start reselling. That's what I love about, liquidation. Just telling this to somebody earlier, there's so many avenues to resell product or resell anything. But I feel like liquidation is one of the lowest barriers to entry and one of the easiest ones to understand as far as from a product perspective because it's all the product you're already buying for yourself. So if you're a reseller that I talked to a guy today, he's selling fossils, right? Super neat, like unique thing. I don't know anything about that, but he's reselling them. So like he's still in the same like business we're in. Ours is just a little bit easier to understand, to a lot more people. So you mentioned the bin store. That one's still going. I can't remember. Did you open more stores or did you stick with that one the whole
Yeah,
time?
so we've had quite the whole roller coaster during our journey. So we started with that one store, that retail store, and after a couple of years, we opened three more. We partnered with someone else. Unfortunately, one of those owners had passed away, and he was well, like one of the main people in the operations. Those stores were already like going up and down, and so after that happened, we kind of just got out of those three stores. Um, and around the same time is when we really started getting some larger contracts with direct retailers and our wholesale business started taking off. And so we do have some like ownership in some other people's bin stores, but that is like for what we ran ourselves. That was the main thing. We had those extra three. We then got out of those, and we could still continue with the one main one. And then recently, we've in the past couple of years, we've gotten a full warehouse that's 60,000 square feet, where we do a lot of wholesale operations and sorting and such. And then we've recently taken over an auction house in Ohio as well.
So you're doing a lot of stuff. So bin store first, how's the bin store doing today versus its peak when you guys first opened?
It's definitely the margins keep on getting smaller and smaller. It is harder and harder to make that like the whole model work. To be
Yeah.
honest,
Are you guys
um,
full right now at the store or is it
we are profitable still. Yes. We are also contract holders, right? So I don't have to buy from a broker or anything else. So that helps, but like it's not a huge profit at all by comparison to other businesses. So
so you contract holder as far as Amazon or are you talking about a different retailer?
I mean we're contract holders direct with Amazon, Target, and Walmart. So we have a lot of different products all coming in. And each one of those has its own programs, right? But yeah, we have like 14 different locations from Amazon and a few different locations with Walmart, and we're like secondary with Target. So
So I know for our like audience, we have a lot of like we cater more towards resellers, right? Then liquidation such a small subset, right? So like our goal is to get to a broader audience, but I am curious, curious 'cause a lot of people that come into liquidation, the first thing they hear about when they start buying trucks, they've graduated from pallets to trucks, it's, "I've gotta be direct. I've gotta be the contract holder," and I've told people, like, we've never been that, that's not our model. Our model is different. We've pivoted so many different times to we went from pallet sales, we went to we brokered super heavy back during COVID, 2020 to 2023. I looked back because someone had made a post, and I was like, "I wonder if we had sold that much," and we had sold, like, 3,000 trucks one year, hated it. It was, like, the most, like, unenjoyable year ever, because it sounds like a lot. 3,000 trucks is a lot of product to move, and the gross sales were 20 I think $25,000,000 their biggest year. That is a lot of money. A lot of money moved through my bank account. A lot of money did not stay in my bank account, and there's a big difference. So we've changed our model a lot, and now we're more in the, like, the closeout space, so we don't really mess with the Amazon. I mean, I will if there's a good program that, like, every once in a while somebody calls you up and they're like, "Hey, I got this, specific program, it's 2 trips a week." I still got the contacts to sell it. I'm not gonna say no to free money, but I'm not in the game to, like, to fight the brokers at a $300 markup anymore. Like, the markup's just gotten difficult. So but people come in, they wanna be contract direct. They want everything that comes with it, even though they know nothing about what comes with it. So, what are some of the
Yeah,
things, especially with Amazon, because everybody wants to be direct, so they don't have to pay that markup. But in reality, what are the problems that come with it that you're like, is it better or worse to have the problems that come with it, or is it better just if, you're buying 1 load a week, you're better off just
yeah.
paying me my
Like
fee and moving
I would
on?
say the best way for people who want to be direct and not, I mean, Amazon doesn't let a lot of people in the door. It took a lot of work to get to where I am, and yes, you do have to put a bunch of money down, and they hold that money. And you're not making any money on that money either. Like yes, you get product, but you're not making interest on that money. But what I would tell people to do is to work with contract holders to take full sites. So like you take everything from a specific location, and that way you have your guaranteed inventory. You know that you're like only one hop off being direct, and it's like likely the lowest that you're going to be able to get that product. While being able to like build your business on having guaranteed inventory. The biggest problem that this industry in general has, I don't think this is an Amazon issue, it's just in general, is the seasonality of it. Whether it's the fact that the Q4, Q1 has the most loads across every program, and then you're in the middle of like Q2, Q3, and it's like a drought of any type of product, or it's the seasonality of like actual seasonal product that all comes after the seasons. And what do I do with this product? I'm being charged like a percentage of full retail and it's worth pennies right now. Both of those two things are like one of the main issues. As for being a contract holder, what are some of the problems that I come with? Like, I get loads before I have a manifest for them, and if I go to ship them to somebody, and then they're like, "Well, I don't think that load's worth that much." Well, that's how much I have to pay on it regardless. So, like, they also don't get all their manifests perfect. Like for very rarely do they get any of them perfect, and that's every retailer. That's not Amazon, that's not Home Depot or Target or any. All of them have these issues, um, and trying to sell products with that is difficult because
Yeah.
people want your margins to be as low as possible. Like you talked earlier, it doesn't make sense for you to like broker a load for $300, right? Because then someone's going to say, "Hey, these three vacuums weren't on my manifest, so I want a $400 credit." And you're like, "Well, I only made 300 on this truck. What, like, how does this make sense?"
Yeah.
And so that's where it becomes difficult. Also during the peak season, it's really easy to sell a load when it's like a drought and people just need product. But during the middle of peak season, when everybody has a ton of product, it's very hard to sell like, hey, you have an extra like 500% of trucks this week, and where are you going to put it? And so warehouses start becoming like filling up, and people want to pay even less because it's a race to the bottom as to how much money people want to make just to move their product. Like that's those are some of the issues that I've had to deal with and learn with, and especially as I grow, like as I take on more sites, it's how am I going to deal with this at the hardest points, not the easiest points.
Correct.
So
Yeah, I don't think people realize, because we went through, a debate last year of do we want to go back that route and tackle the high. We've done it. We've done it successfully and unsuccessfully a few times where we've processed high count and taken on sites from contract holders. And people don't understand that you need the manifest to process properly. Like if you don't have the manifest, it's very difficult to have your team process because you can't process by site. If you tell your team, hey, pull everything that's $80 and up without a manifest and without the ability to scan the product, they will. And listen, I can't crap on my team. I've gone and tried, and I pulled 20% of the pulls, and I've done this for 15 years. I've seen it all. But like, you have to have the manifest. And that manifest can be delayed 2 weeks, and one load, it's whatever. When you've got 10 loads on your floor, the average cost is 18 grand. You're sitting on $200,000 that you really shouldn't be touching. But then you start getting that overflow comes in, so you have to touch it. So now you're processing all that product to not turn a profit because you need the capital to pay the next bill. We have tried several times over to process Amazon, and we've built some really beautiful programs. And I've built some programs that I wish I could probably take back because like we just didn't do a very good job because the site was bad or whatever we had to work with wasn't right because not every site is equal, right? Because sites are super heavy on food, some sites are super heavy on clothing, and then it can change a little bit where they forecast 10% clothing, but then it's real, in reality, it's 20% that week. So it's a difficult thing, to have those contracts, especially multiple contracts, and juggle them. So I think people get real amped up about being a contract holder, and they don't see the dark side of it. When Target, so 2020, what was that? When COVID hit and Target it was good. Like the case pack was like really good. We took on for Bobby Mick down in Florida. He had a contract with Target, and we took over 40 trucks a week was our peak. And so I don't get credit. I don't like promote this, but I started the watermelon box trend of like putting the product in the watermelon pallets. I like own the credit for that. No one's ever given it to me in the industry. I stayed quiet for the most part, but like I started that. It was funny because the first batch we bought 50, it was 50 trucks from Matt Laval of the case pack, and it came in, and it was supposed to be 6 foot tall, and it's supposed to be case pack. I think at the time, what everybody was doing was they were bringing in these like 6 to 8 foot tall case pack trucks, and they were cutting like the foot off the top, and they were building an extra couple pallets, and then they were selling the case pack loads. And so you got 4 free pallets off every truck. That was your product. That was your profit. And that's how the case packs were moving. So that's what I was going to do. We had 200,000 square feet at the time, and I was like, we needed to fill it. And then it came in, and it was like a mixture of GM and like 3.5 foot tall pallet. And I called Matt and I'm like, buddy, this isn't anywhere close. And so Matt and whoever I think his contract holder was, they flew out with like measuring sticks and measured the pallets, and they gave us credit or refunds based on the height. But it forced us because we couldn't even. There was no way to fix that. There was no way to stack the pallet. So I was like, what can we do to make this happen? We did the watermelons. Fast forward, we took in Bobby's flow because I mean, people don't understand if you weren't there, like case pack today sucks compared to that. Like there's some good case pack out there. There's good case pack trucks. They suck compared to that. There were I think we were paying 275 or 325 a pallet, but the kicker was it had to be a full pallet. So if we got a half a pallet, we could request a half a refund, and we were paying 175 a pallet. Didn't matter what was on that pallet. I mean, I remember we got at least 2 full tractor trailers of Dyson vacuums, like, that we're paying $375 a pallet for,
Yeah,
you know?
that's
It's not
awesome.
gonna happen today, but it was 40 trucks, and we were processing them into watermelon gaylords, and we were getting 3 to 1 or 3.5 to 1. So we were producing, we couldn't build them fast enough. We would bring in 40, we could only process 20 loads a week. So we had an overflow of 20 loads a week for about 6 months. So by the time the program ended, our 200,000 square foot warehouse, it ended about a week before we were going to have to cry for mercy and start putting product outside because there was no other option. But you couldn't turn it off. Like one, if you ask and cry uncle, those contracts go away. You don't
Right.
cry uncle and
Yeah.
get it.
There is a button that you can say turn it off, but then it doesn't get
They
turned back on.
No, they
So
give it to somebody else because that product, there's nowhere to turn the faucet doesn't get turned off. Your faucet can get turned off, that product is going somewhere, and as soon as you're the guy that cries uncle, you're not getting more flow. You're gonna slowly lose your flow. But yeah, I mean, that was the last time I took on anything that substantial. It was just the stress of, like, selling just enough to make sure we could pay the next week's bill. That's all I cared about. I didn't care about making money. I just cared about paying the bills, and I was like, "We'll figure out the money later. The product will be there." Like, and it
Yep.
was, like,
And
we
that's how I
cleared.
started too. Same thing. It was just like, all right, let's make sure we got enough to pay the bill, right? Like that's the big thing. Until your business grows enough where that's it's not an issue. But
Yeah.
um,
No, you get to
yeah,
feel it,
I mean,
like, cool, we felt it at the end, right? So, like, it did end. There was an end, and we got to, like, actually feel all of the cash at the end of it because like, the faucet did turn off, and, like, we got to stack cash for 6 months, we did nothing but stack up money, which was really cool. A lot of times you don't get to do that because the faucet doesn't turn off until you're done with this business. But that's one thing, that we've learned. We talked a second about, like, the biggest challenges in the industry, and we talked about, the seasonality of it. I tend to think one of the biggest struggles is when you get a program that's good, you can bet like, it's not gonna be there 3 months because they'll find a better way of, doing something else with it, and so you're constantly having to adapt and change in this industry, which makes it really difficult to build, like, an actual business
yeah.
in this
Also,
industry.
your contracts are only like a year at the max. Like it's really hard to like it. If I were to take on one of the large sites from any of these locations and then have to go get a warehouse that's 200,000 square feet, I can't get a 1 year lease. So like I go get a 3, 5 year lease and then I lost the contract after year one. Well, now what am I doing with 200,000 square feet? Right? Like there's just so much risk in that with being a contract holder. It just people don't realize any of that kind of stuff at that level. And we're talking millions of dollars. We're not talking like, oh, I lost 50 grand or something. So it is it's a big risk.
Yeah, it's an all-in
I think,
thing. I think we've all seen a few big guys in the last 5 years go down that had these big contracts that I mean, Essex just went under last year. We all thought, you know, I don't think any of us really, like, were prepared to see that. Like, people don't realize how all in you are because, like you said, your business has to grow to that facility or that flow, and there's no
right.
guarantee it's gonna last more than a year. So you spend that whole year adapting your business to fit that, hiring staff, getting space, all for it to get turned off on you, and you're still left with all of that overhead.
Yeah.
Um
Or like you said, a program can change drastically. This happened with Target, which caused a lot of companies to go under. Like Target 3 years ago was great. Like both the GM programs and the store return program and the case back program. It is heavily picked through now by comparison, and that's from Target. That's not from anyone else. So it's just a very different program.
Yeah, I think people, 'cause we see a lot of like, you see the Facebook groups, everybody's complaining, these loads suck. So and so's they're cherry picking them, and they don't realize like the retailers are going to continue to like get better because like what they're giving us is this like they want to do better at like finding better homes for that. We're like the last place they
Yeah,
want it to wind up. They want to like find a way better recovery, and so when they find a better recovery, they're gonna take it because that's their business, and it's not Ray's fault the Target sucked this week. Like, Ray's just taking a
100%.
load. Ray's gotta sell them, and, you know, you gotta set expectations to your buyers. So, I guess, the next question I've got for you is on the Target, how are you selling Target to people today? 'Cause, I mean, it's probably been 5 years since I've touched any kind of Target product, and so, like, I remember Target GM being, like, shelf pull kind of ugly, but, like, 4 or 5 foot, the Sterilite boxes full of clothes, electronics got thrown in there. Like, so what's the difference today and 5 years ago?
Yeah, I mean, so until August, I'm still selling loads on like a flat price. But Target's making some pretty large changes. Like the market's going to find that out in about August, September of this year when everything becomes manifested and everything's a percent of manifest. They're doing the same thing that Home Depot and Amazon and others have gone into of wanting to get a higher recovery based on category. and so that it'll be a very big difference on how those loads are sold. But right now, it's still based on a per pallet or a per truckload flat rate, where
Yeah,
they are exactly like you said. They're all either built to like if you take them raw and they're just like 3 to 4 feet off the truck. That's how they come. Is how they come. Some 6 foot pallet trucks, um, but others are if you we can build them up to 6 feet and then sell it for a different price. But that's not how it comes off the truck. That's what people don't realize. They don't want you to touch it, but they also want you to have like 6 foot pallets, and
yeah,
it doesn't work like that. Um, and then the electronics that were in the trucks like 5 years ago are no longer in the trucks the same way. A lot of that's being pulled off and being sold separately. That like I don't even have access to, just not in the trucks at all.
yeah.
So the clothing the loads nowadays have like 50% clothing. They do have like the dollar items and the playground and such. They will have some of the nice stuff, but it's not nearly the percentage that it used to be.
Yeah. So, how are they maybe you can't answer, maybe you can't. How are they gonna sell the loads come August, September? Is it the same, like, look, but it's manifested, or are they gonna start bidding out the separate categories to buy separate like, I can then buy an appliance truck. It'll just be still
No,
managed
so it's like the
as
contract
done.
holders still gonna get the same loads from the same facilities, but they're just manifested. So they're paying a certain percent based on a category.
Got it. How do you think price-wise, if I don't know what a load costs now, 8 grand. If the load's 8,000 a day, how do you think that's gonna affect the cost of the load to the customer in 4 months?
I'm pretty sure it's gonna go up. How much
Yeah,
it's gonna go up,
no,
I'm
yeah.
not sure.
I have a feeling it's
I
gonna
think
go
clothing is going to be the biggest thing affected, I think. I think clothing prices will go up drastically with Target. Anyone who's currently buying clothing for Target is going to see a huge difference, like
yeah.
probably like at least a 50% jump on clothing from Target.
I think it's crazy how much clothing has gone up across the board in the last year. I mean, a year ago, LPN was $1, and I saw someone offer me he's like, "I got a great deal for you. It's $1.60." And I was like, "I don't know, I don't know when that was a great deal." But yeah, because Target, we used to buy for under $1, and then LPN was always like $1 market price, but then, you could talk between guys and get it for 90 cents. I don't know.
And FC like 50 cents back then. Like
Yeah, now
it
it's
was a
what is it? Dollar I think I sold some, like,
lot. I mean, I
really near
sell truckloads of FC at $1.30 and like LPN $1.50 to $1.75. Like it's crazy. The market's changed a lot.
yeah. Do you think it keep is there a ceiling where, like, enough's enough and it can't? Because I know we just had an RFP for Amazon for some of it,
Yep.
and I was so a lot of friends of mine that are contract holders are like a lot of subcontract holders that take the overflow of people, and so I'm always, like, interested. It doesn't affect me anymore, but I like hearing about it, but I heard it went up yet again, which at least which I don't know how much higher it could go.
I mean, so it really comes down to how that product's being sold. Like these retailers don't want to work with wholesalers, right? They want to work with the end user. The more they can get to the end user without having to manage 1,000 end users is where they want to be. So that way they can get the highest recovery, like you said. Um, and and then the end user can also sell it for the highest amount. Clothing in general gets exported. Like more clothing gets exported than sold that goes through these channels. So how high can it go? It depends on if someone's just trying to resell it to someone who's exporting, or they've actually found a way to sell it here and move the volume that exists. Um, it, it really comes down to are you a reseller and you found that end user, or you are reselling to someone who's exporting or such. I think from a clothing level, that's where it's going to make a huge difference.
Yeah. I think you hit the nail on the head, right? Is like the middle is getting pushed out. So, if because Amazon and to their credit, anybody like any of the big retailers, it's safer for them to work with someone who's going to use the product. Because if an out now, which is where a lot of this stuff sounds like it's starting to end up, can use the product. It's a way safer bet than a bunch of these wholesale guys coming in, forming a group and getting it and then one not knowing where the loads are gonna wind up because then, "Oh, well, so and so's" you know, side deals. This guy's supposed to take 6, this guy's supposed to take 5, and then someone Amazon doesn't even know bails, and it affects the whole supply chain. It's a whole lot safer if, the big, I guess, auction right now is where it seems to be headed. A lot of the auction houses are taking over the product, because 'cause they're getting a way better number than bin stores.
Yeah,
And
just recovery is higher. Like, I mean, I tried to do it with Whatnot, to be honest. Like, we went kind of all in on Whatnot, and we ended up losing a lot of money. We got out of the Whatnot space after losing quite a bit, and then now we are in the auction world, and it's a better place to be. It's also
yeah.
more like scalable. So,
We'll talk about Whatnot for a second, then I wanna ask you about your auctions, because
sure.
that's what we've been talking to a little bit today is Whatnot people,
Hmm.
and not your traditional, like, liquidation Whatnot people. I've talked to a lady who did press on nails, talked to a guy who did, fossils, like shark teeth and stuff like that. I was like, mind blowing because like that's like the shark tooth guy is like that's cool. So his brother scuba dives for the shark teeth. So like that's some cool shit. And here I am selling like a dildo, like dozens of them, right? Like you're cool. He has somebody that goes like, they find, like, buried ships, and they get, like, artifacts off the ships to sell and whatnot, and I'm like,
Well, yeah.
"That's some cool stuff," and we're over here selling crap. Whatever, it all makes money, but, like, I wish some of our stuff was a little bit cooler. But we had the same experience with Whatnot, or I'm guessing we did, but give me your experience on Whatnot. Everybody jumped in, like, on the bandwagon, and it was gonna be the biggest thing for everybody, but, like, what was your experience?
Yeah, so we started. I mean, we had some contracts already, right? So like we have a lot of product. We want to be able to move more product, and we heard about Whatnot. We weren't really sure in the very beginning, is this really a thing that's going to work? Yeah, it kind of made sense. You get higher cash flow, and you'd be able to turn your stuff. Maybe it sells for a little bit less. And we did a couple shows and it went pretty well. And so we're like, all right, let's like I don't really do anything like slowly. So if I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna go all in on it. So we quickly ramped up to like 25 people full time in Whatnot. We had two, eventually three full-time channels going. We had a food channel, a candy channel, and like a general merchandise channel, and we were fairly well known with like discount goods and candy connection and discount foods, and we had over 500,000 followers, so it's not like we didn't have the followers or anything. But people don't realize the like cost of labor involved with Whatnot, the cost of all your gift cards that you're giving away or whatever it is that you're giving away every 7 minutes, or whatever the timer is. And when you start adding in all of these things, whether it's shipping or processing, listing, and selling, and meanwhile, like a lot of these sellers that are selling on Whatnot are all like, they feel like they're like super or like movie stars, and they want to be paid a ton of money, to be honest. They feel like they're like Instagram famous and want to make over 100 grand a year. We weren't paying that, but like that was the constant conversation of, you aren't paying us enough
Yeah,
because we see all the sales, but they don't understand the engine behind that and how much that actually costs.
yeah,
And when you start like Whatnot doesn't make it easy to truly understand all of that. You're
yeah,
selling one small item or one medium item. And so it's really hard to, like, one show isn't one truckload. So you have multiple truckloads overlapping with each other, and trying to look at what your recovery was on a specific truck is very difficult. And so most people haven't figured out even how to do that correctly. When we started putting in those processes to figure it out, you start seeing weeks where we lose 20, $30,000. And it's like, that can't be right. And you start like, like double checking it. And it was like, I can't believe we're doing this. We also like, we started candy at both the right time and the worst possible time. We started candy in the middle of September, and it took off. Like, we're selling candy boxes in mid 40s and $50, and it's right before Halloween, so it's amazing. And then even right after that, going into Christmas, it was still okay. But the same box that would sell for $40 to $50 in September and October, come January and February, was selling for $8.
yeah,
And we were losing money on a box. Like, never mind any of the labor, like just straight product, we were losing
yeah,
money. And we did it too long. right? And so like we also didn't realize that the saturation of running these shows for 14 hours a day, 5 days, 6 days a week, and like we don't have enough, like even like we have hundreds of thousands of followers, still not enough to make this work. I think it works for things that are like niche products, like you were saying, like shark teeth. There's not a ton of people doing the same thing, right? Everybody hopped on this candy bandwagon right around the same time. Like for a little while, we were like the leader of it, but like a lot of people hopped on that same like fill a priority box full of candy. We've been doing watches for a long time, and we have a contract that gets a lot of watches. That was good for us because that's a niche product. But like trying to do cosmetics or general merchandise or bedding or all these other things, it made it very difficult to be like truly profitable.
Yeah.
So yeah, for all those reasons is why we got out of it. It just, and unfortunately, we had to lay off a ton of people. Like it's never fun going through that process and having to like admit that we kind of made a mistake in this and didn't think it all the way through. But like we didn't expect that to happen at all. Obviously,
Yeah.
we thought this was like the next big thing.
No, I think we were in the same boat. It took us a little bit longer, I think, than because for a while everybody in Liquidation was like, that was how we were all gonna move stuff. It was, and so it took us a little bit longer to try. We started last March. Now I'm the same way. I don't wanna go like, I can't go small because what's the point? Like, we,
Yep.
have to make money, otherwise, like, I'll do something different. I'm really quick about if I don't think it's gonna work, I pull the plug. Like, I will give it the college try that I didn't actually do, but, I will give it a college try for, but I'm very good about this sucks. I can see that, I can see what's gonna hamper us from like doing really well. And then also like you also have to weigh the opportunity costs. And like I spent a ton of time, my own time building the team and then sourcing the product because like you can't just use straight Amazon. Like, and that's what my initial hope was, because we were getting EWR7 at the time, which is an Amazon facility. Now, I wasn't getting the coffins, I was getting Gaylords, and I was paying a stupid cheap price, like, ridiculously cheap. And I was like, "We'll just literally unload the Gaylord one at a time, and we'll auction it off." And I did the math. The first, like, couple shows, we averaged $5 or $6 an item, which was great because we were paying, like, $1.50 an item. I came to realize that we couldn't sell it fast enough because there was so much in a pallet, and there's lots of we weren't selling. And so our $5 average was true, but like this item did 200 and then these 6 items didn't sell at all. And so it's like, should we process that? And so then we got to process, let's to get through the load fast enough, we have to process it. We have to pull the good stuff off and then I'll sell the rest to a bin store that understands what they're buying. But now I've included more labor and getting prepping the whatnot product in order to sell through fast enough. And then now I've also caused another problem. I need more of those loads to make it work because I'm only taking some of the crop, and then people get bored. It gets oversaturated of the Amazon, so you have to add more stuff in. So we're like, we tried Amazon Electronics. We tried the Target Electronics that were like working and tested, which did fine, except they weren't really working and tested. Like so, they were really
Yeah.
clean. Don't get me wrong; they were very clean, but we're paying 12%. We're averaging like 30%, which sounds great, almost triple. Until again, it's the labor to pull and pack it. It's the man hours and like we're selling, our goal, we would do 7 shows a week for 3 hours and our goal was 300 items, 400 items per show. So we're, 4 or 5,000 items a week, whatever it was. The amount of messages we're getting like on a daily basis, like, "Where's my crap?" Um,
Yep.
someone has to respond to
Returns,
those. Oh my gosh,
cancellations, like all of
cancellation.
that.
Yeah, and so,
Yeah.
like, cancellations don't even get started because we went back and we sat, I mean, for hours, like, because we're someone cancels, and you're like, you don't wanna cancel it 'cause it's the premise. You bid, you're paying for it, I'm shipping it, and you learn really quickly that, like, it's a terrible mindset. Just refund the guy the $20 and resell it because he's gonna be a problem for you the entire time. It's gonna cost you way more than $20
For
to,
every
like
excuse in the book. My cat jumped on my
yeah.
phone, my
Oh,
kids took
they
my
do that to
phone,
me
like all
too.
everything under the
Crazy.
world. Yeah.
I don't know how many kids
Uh,
grabbed onto the phone and bid. Like,
yep.
that's worse than, like, your dead grandma in college, right? Like, my grandma died 6 times my first
I mean, the
semester.
messages are a big deal, right? We were selling 1,500 items a day, and it was a lot. Like, it's a significant amount of time, like hours every day being spent
Uh,
just managing messages.
yep.
It all adds up, and that labor cost really eats into your margin. And as soon as you have a truck that's like mediocre or anything, it's just like it takes away all your profit, and you're not losing money on the week. It just wasn't worth it.
No, and, and closeouts didn't do well. That was my next hope. I was like, "Okay, well, maybe, I can look at Whatnot kinda like a bin store where the Amazon stuff will be my, like, loss leader, what gets them in what fills my show up, and then I'll be able to move my closeouts, which I have fantastic margin in." But the problem is, I can move 20 of something in a show, and maybe I can do that 3 or 4 shows in a row, and then no, you can't. So it doesn't work for and that was, like, my hope for it was, like, I'm gonna be able to buy these closeouts that we're doing really well with, like, we're liquidating a ton of them. Maybe I can sell, a quarter of my stuff at a high margin on Whatnot, and then I'll wholesale the rest. And we could never get it to move enough of a single SKU item, and that's really what did it for us. Like, the amount of time I personally spent, if I could have built it out to where, a team could have done it, and we were in there making, like, dummy proof systems, and wasn't a perfect system where product wasn't getting lost or misshipped, or because then you have to weigh, do you test it, do you not test it? Because let me tell you right now, you don't test it. I don't test it. I ship
Yeah,
it,
you just keep
work, I refund it. Boom, no questions asked. Because you'll add that labor into it, you've lost 20% before you've even gotten to, like, to sell it. Yeah,
We did the
it's
same thing, and it's also not just a necessarily a Whatnot issue, it's a live selling issue, and, like, there might be a way at some point they change this, but we did eBay Live, we did TikTok, we tried them all, and some of them have pros and cons and everything, but, like, it was a loss across all of them, so, um, it just yeah, it's tough. It's a really tough market to do really well in.
I think you're right. I think
Uh,
it's important though for people to understand, like, if you're watching, to take this right this second, put down what you're doing. If you're still selling on the app, and go look at your numbers, like, actually look at them and be honest with yourself, because, like, it's kind of like the bin store model. You see you're moving money. It's very easy to move money and to lose money at the same time, because you're caught up in it and you're busy. And a lot of times when you're busy, you feel like really successful, like, oh my God, look at all these packages I'm shipping out. And then 6 months down the road, you go, "Where's all my money?" Well, you're not paying attention to your numbers well, and if you don't know your numbers, I think it's really a an epidemic in our industry is people don't sit down and do their numbers, and they don't know that they're losing money till it's too late. Because
trying to buy
it's
the next truck. That's all
yeah,
they're trying to do.
all they're trying to do, and this industry tricks you very quickly into thinking you're making money when you're not. Yeah, and I see it all the time, and the blame, gets put on brokers or the seller or whatever. In reality, you should have realized 2 trucks into that program, it wasn't for you, and pivoted to a different program, because there's a million programs out there. There's a million ways to make money reselling. You don't have to buy liquidation. You don't have to. I saw was like, "If you're not buying truckloads, you're already like, you're not doing good." And I'm like, "That's terrible advice." I think buying truckloads is like the worst. Like, I don't know about you, but I sold pallets also, right? I've done every aspect of this industry, and so I like to, like, reminisce and complain about the stuff that, can't stand. But, like, so truckloads or pallet sales, if you have a good pallet warehouse, you never have to buy a truckload, because you get, like, the rare opportunity and the right to go into someone else's warehouse and to cherry pick every one of his good pallets and build your own premium truckload and not have all the crap. So, like, to me, I'll pay a 10% premium to go pick out because that's what would happen to us. You'd bring in a Walmart GM truck, there's, like, 6 pallets of, like, that are, like, cherry off that truck, and the same guy comes by every week, and he gets those 6 pallets, and he leaves you all the rest, and then you're discounting the rest
That's
as
true on every truck, right? Like every truck has 30 to 40% of inventory that's easy to sell. That's also not where your profit is. Your profit is in selling all the hard stuff that's junk.
yeah.
Because if you can't sell the junk, you will lose money on that truck. You can everyone can sell the good stuff. That's easy. I can sell a bunch of iPads, no problem at all. You selling calendars from last year, it's a lot harder.
Then
So
call me when you figure out how to do that, because 'cause I'd be super interested in learning. No, but you said something, and something that I tell people, 'cause again, we've pivoted to these closeouts, and we're not dealing with, like, the best of the best items, and that's on purpose, because when you're solving a problem for somebody, is when you have the right to make the most money because like I solved your biggest problem was getting rid of this product that you couldn't sell. Now I am gonna sell. That's my like that's where I shine is like I sell stuff that a lot of people have trouble with, and I prefer it that way because listen, you guys fight over the tools, fight over the iPads, fight over all you want. Give me the weirdest item you can think of, and that's what I'm game for.
Yeah, you're getting
For
it
my
at pennies and doing well with it, right? So
100%. Like, friend of mine down in Florida, he's doing really well with kitchen cabinets, and a lot of people, they hate the cabinets when they come on the Home Depot trucks, and I'm like, "No, this is where, like, if you can find the right cabinet buyers, I can buy you kitchen cabinets for $15, $10, $300 I can get you for $10, $15. You can mark it up to $100, and you get the 10x your money. Find me some product on Amazon that you get the 10x your money on, you're gonna have a really hard time doing it. You just are,
yeah,
like 'cause everybody can find that stuff. So my takeaway is go find some, like, hard selling items and, yeah, it's a lot more fun that way. So Whatnot sucked for you, like, whatever. There's a lot of fun I'm sure you had a lot of fun doing it 'cause I had a lot of fun doing it. Like,
blast.
believe
I mean, I didn't actually run the shows. My
you
business
never
partner
did a
did,
show?
but no, I sold 2 items. I was the guy behind the camera though. I helped set up all the operations, and that's what I enjoyed. But I did not sell.
Like
No.
I like setting it up, but I like being able to get out there and, like which is crazy because growing up, I was always an introvert, and I still feel like
Sure.
that most of the time, but, like, no one is watching 200 people are watching, but nobody's actually watching me because I can't see them. But so Whatnot, you lost a bunch of money, we all did,
Yep.
and we have pivoted to an auction house. It's an in-person, it's an online, what is it?
Yeah. So online auction house. I'm an affiliate with BitFTA, and so it's a online auction house. So you pick up the items in person. Um, and we're doing significant volume in Columbus, Ohio. So yeah, that's been the new thing. We are opening another one in Richmond, Virginia, by the end of the year, and likely another location not too long after that. So
So, I met with BitFTA. Is Todd's there, right? Is
yep.
that where Todd went? Yeah.
Mhm.
So explain that to me a little bit. So it's almost like it's your auction under their umbrella. Is
Yep.
it all your
Similar to
product?
like a franchise type model. Like I have their branding and their software and all of that.
Yeah.
So
But it's all your items in that you're auctioning off, or do you
I
consign
pay for everything. Yep.
or
And I can buy like there's opportunities to buy from them or myself. Obviously I have a lot of options myself, so I do that. But
Gotcha. And do you mostly so, like, obviously, you have the Walmart, the Target, the is it I don't know what I'm trying to ask, like, when I've seen some of their I guess everybody's different because it's all different essentially franchises. You're selling, like, even Amazon, like, FC product on there, what all you sell on at your
yeah, I
to
mean,
your
for mostly you're selling like the medium and bulk size items from Amazon, some occasional like LPN, like high piece count. I'm like that location specifically is not doing FC high piece count. If anything, I'll end up doing them in mystery boxes or something. Instead of like lotting like a really cheap item just isn't worth the time. So I would bundle them together. But then we're doing like some Home Depot turbos and outdoor power equipment and some Walmart loads and just a mix of furniture loads. So trying everything, right? I'm learning. I'm back to learning what works, what doesn't, what has the best recovery and all of that. So,
got it.
but
Okay. No, I haven't talked to
I
anybody that's
have
actually
I sell to a lot of auction houses, right? So like I have some information because people buy these loads from me, so I know what should work in an auction house. So
yeah, you sold loads to know which ones, like, people reorder the most for what auction, so you get a little bit of an inside scoop. No, I like that. Okay. So, I mean, we've covered bin stores. You did the bin store, you tried it, you did pallet sales, are you still doing pallet sales, or is that, like, kind of
I do it in the warehouse. Yeah, in Virginia, we do pallet sales, a lot of clothing sales, um, and like we've sorted FC, and so we have pallets of shoes, pallets of clothing, electronics, all sorts of like. So we do the same thing with Sam's Club. We kind of take apart some of that and sell different pallets.
yeah,
So we have that here in Virginia. A
okay,
lot of food. We do that with food.
got it.
So yep.
How
That's
many
been
s
good. It's
Sam's
Go
Club?
ahead.
You have a bunch of Sam's Club?
Yeah, we
Or
have, like 6 different, locations that we're pulling from, so, yeah.
God. Yeah, we tried I don't know if it was new, we tried that. I don't know. I didn't like we had a terrible experience locally. The manifests were always messed up. Like, it was terrible. This was probably 6 or 7 years ago. Um,
Okay.
it wasn't like the pictures now. I haven't brought in a Sam's Club from anybody, so I wouldn't know for sure, but the pictures I see online are, like, really pretty. What we got wasn't at all. I don't know if they just hadn't, like, messed with the program enough or what, but I've seen a lot of people having really good success with the Sam's Club. It's
They're
just
very clean. Like, it is nice product. Uh, it's also expensive, right? You're paying a high percentage on this product compared to everything else.
yeah.
So, while it is clean, you're not gonna make as much money. So,
No, it's on like the higher tier of like liquidation, like traditional liquidation. I feel like it's up there in percentages. Yeah, we talked about bin stores, we talked about whatnot, we talked about your auction house contracts. Are you doing anything else, or is that have we gone over everything that Ray does, or did
I
we miss?
mean, like, I now have salespeople that work for me now, so, like, I'm brokering other contract holder stuff, like, and so, we sell I mean, we're pushing over 300 loads a month right now, whether it's our contracts or others, and, whether it's Nick or Amanda, or Ken, they're all working with me and pushing a lot of my stuff. So, I'm getting to the point now where I can't sell all the time, and so I work with, like, our top accounts, and I move everyone else down to them. So,
You gotta delegate at
yeah,
some point, like, so we managed to do that for 2, 3 years, and we the crazy part, we did it with 2 people, which we've always done a really good job of, like, doing a lot with a little, and it was me and it was one other salesperson, and like I said, it was 3,000 loads. It was like 3126 it was some random number, but, like, was our best and it was a lot of work to keep all of that, like to keep that moving and to keep all the logistics
that's good
involved with
and
it.
everything. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy. People don't realize there is a lot more that goes into brokering than just, like, 2 phone calls and shipping. Like, the good ones, at least, do a lot more work than just that. So, I mean, I unless there's something else that I missed that you're doing, like,
The only
that's
other thing that I guess is really going on right now is like I get very involved with all the trade shows. I'm on like a reverse logistics board now, and
I
so
did
I'll
see
be
that.
yeah, and so like come this next ASD, I'll be doing some roundtable discussions with different groups of like bin stores and auction houses and trying to get them to like really get into some of the details about problems that they're having and like working together to find solutions. I want the industry to grow as a whole. Like there's a lot of people that are like, hey, I'm in my bubble. I don't want to tell anyone anything. And that's fine, but like I want to grow this industry for everybody, right? Like let's solve these problems together. I do a lot of the meetups at a lot of these trade shows and host those. We'll probably be doing the same thing at Top Golf in Vegas this coming August. So I like getting everyone together and networking. That's kind of how I grew in this industry, and I like to kind of pay it forward. So
Yeah, no, I think yeah, we've been I've done this for 15 years, and I've never been, like, big on I don't I'm not a huge people person, I never have been, like, it's been, like I've been busy, like, I've been busy doing my thing, like, we do, when what I look at liquidation, reselling in general, like, a little bit differently, and especially the liquidation industry, and one thing we're trying to do with our content is introduce resellers to liquidation, especially, like, the mainstream liquidation, because again, the barrier is so low, it's really easy to learn the product, and it's a great starting point, and also you can make a lot of money very quickly. I look at liquidation as a tool. We used from the day we started, I looked at my ex-wife at the time, and I told her, I was like, "I don't see this being the most profitable thing forever. I see it getting difficult because it's gonna get more mainstream and more people are gonna get into it. I wanna take out as much capital as we can as we do it." So we've always ran our business extremely lean. We've taken all of our money every year and we've bought real estate with it from day one. And that's what like our end all be all goal is real estate. And that's what we've grown to over 50 doors between like residential, commercial, and that's our big thing. And that's what we're kind of growing into. So our content is teaching people how to make money with liquidation because reselling in general is great. Reselling with liquidations like steroids, like you get to really explode quickly. But like I get nervous for people when they build out too big of a system in liquidation. Some people do it really, really well, but it's not very many, right? Because it changes so often, and a lot of people just aren't built to set systems up. And so make money as fast as you can. But when you are making like a lot of money, like COVID times, but let's take some of that money out and do something different with it. Because when you're riding that gravy train like Target, it's gonna end. And if you don't believe that, you're screwed. Like we almost signed an extra 4-year lease on our building, 200,000 square feet, because we needed it for the target. And I sat there and I was like, I called Bobby. I was like, dude, what's the deal? Is this going to keep going or is this not going to keep going? He's like, I don't know. And when he said, I don't know, I'm like, so I pushed our landlord off. I'm like, give me 2 extra months. Let me see what happens. The day target canceled. I've seen that time and time again where like the gravy chain, it's there. Like there's a bunch of them and they're going to keep coming. Like we've seen so many deals where hand over fist. You just have to, like,
Make your
gauge,
money when yeah.
make sure you can and hammer it, like, make it, and then get out and then find the next thing. Because there's always another thing in liquidation. There's always somebody going out of business. Just don't get too in bed with one deal, and I love that you guys are involved in so many not only so many different retail contracts, but you're involved in so many
Mm,
different, like, outlets,
yeah.
that are strong, right? Like, too many people they're juggling, like, 20 different ways to make like, to sell their product, and, like, it's great, but, like, you can't have a storefront or whatnot and, like, 6 different ways to move. You need too many people for that, like, and the labor comes
Hard
into
to figure out where the product needs to go.
fi
Like you
find where it needs to go and hammer it, like, figure out your lane. I'm good at wholesaling closeouts. I found out that that's what I'm good at, that's what I wanna focus on, and we hammer we stay in our lane, and we pummel that till, we can't anymore, and then we'll pivot to something else because there's always something we're just resellers, and I think this industry, like, the liquidation space, like, the traditional one that we're like, the Amazon, the Target, it's a small space, like, people don't realize, like, there's a lot of people, but there's not a lot of people. It's funny when we talk to, like, other brokers, I've got some guys that hate me, right? But then you buy a load from me, and I look at the BOL and I go, "This is going to that guy, he hates my guts. Like, I'm gonna sign this just like Merry Christmas." And same, I get guys that they won't buy from a friend of mine, but they'll buy it through me. I'm like, the money's going to him. Like, I'm still buying it from him. No, it's all just it's so interconnected, and small, and
it also means that this industry, more than I've seen in almost anything else, networking is super important. I don't know. It's if you can network well, you can learn a lot and you can get pretty far quickly in this industry.
And you get access to deals by talking. Like, you never know when sometimes you just get lucky, and the last guy I talked to, I remembered he wanted this, and I called him for it versus a guy I known for 6 years, and it just so happened I talked to so and so, he wanted dog food, I'm gonna call him real quick, and that's all it takes. It takes some random conversation from some random dude in some random room at a trade show, and you're making a whole lot of money, so just, like, get out there and talk to people, touch some grass, and yeah, networking, sure.
People ask that all the time. Is the trade show worth it? The trade show, if you are just walking the booths, s- might not be worth it, to be honest. But if you go to a couple meetups and you meet people and you talk to people, it can't be replaced. It's how
I
I've gotten
agree.
to where I've so
100%. Like, I won't go to ASD I don't go to the show. Like, I don't go to the actual, like, physical show, but I'll have dinners, I'll go meet people. I'd only see them twice a year because it's in
right.
Vegas. It's funny because like, I have a friend of mine I've known for 15 years, and we're 2 hours away from each other, and we see each other twice a year. That's in Las Vegas, and that's the only time we see each other, and we're great, we're close, like, we're pretty close, we talk on the phone every week, but we only see each other in person at these trade shows. But no, 100%. Just get out there and network with people. Yeah, I think that's a great spot to leave it. I mean, I've kept you for a little over, the time that I tell people, "You got
You're
stuff
good.
to
Yeah,
do. We got shit to sell. We got money to make." So, I'll leave it at that. I definitely appreciate you hopping on here and having a conversation with me. I think stuff like this will propel the industry forward as a whole.
I agree. Yeah. No, thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
Yeah. Well, cool, man.
So,
We'll
all
talk soon, I'm sure. We'll see you in
right.
Vegas.
Talk soon.